Good morning, my loves, and welcome to the vlog. I hope you're all doing really well. I've just realised I am picking you up where I left you in the last video. So in this week's video we are doing a deep dive Q&A. I actually feel a little bit nervous because the questions, there's a lot of really good questions actually, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more than I usually do. I actually can't remember the last time I properly sat down and did a Q&A and connected with you guys in that kind of way, and since I last did it, I think it's been over a year, and I've grown by about 700,000 followers on Instagram since then. That's actually crazy. I think that's the most amount of growth I've ever had in my entire career. When I hit 1 million this time last year, I was definitely in shock. It took me like I think it took me like 8 weeks to even like announce it and celebrate it properly on my Instagram. I've never been about the growth on my Instagram in terms of numbers. It's always been about building a good community, having a community that's also engaged, because you can have all the followers in the world, but if they're not engaged and you don't have any kind of like relationship with them, then what's the point? But it was a really big milestone, and then something really weird happened. Is I actually got like a bit of stage fright. I don't know how to explain it. It's something about the number in my head suddenly clicked, and I suddenly realized how big of an audience, oh my god, there's a fly in this room. The kind of scale of the number suddenly clicked in my head, and I began to get a bit nervous on posting. Not nervous, but I guess I really felt the pressure. Like, it's so weird, but I almost think it was a good thing because it kind of forced me into upping my game slightly, maybe, with my content and being a bit more considered. But then at the same time, I don't think that's always a good thing, because I think you want you know, those more authentic moments to come through, and now I'm definitely a lot more considered with what I put out on my Instagram anyway, not on my YouTube. I kind of put anything out on my YouTube. Anyway, I've just run away with my trail of thought. I don't know where that came from, but I'm gonna sit down properly and we're gonna do a Q&A. I need to get dressed, so let's put on an outfit. My plan for today is to film this, then I'm going to the tailor, then I'm going horse riding. So I don't actually need to put on a proper outfit, but I will because I'm talking to you guys and I like to dress up for you guys. Go for a classic white shirt. I feel like that's what I wear when I'm at home and I want to look smart but also be comfortable. But I think I wore a shirt in my last vlog. I also have this cute little cashmere knit from Andy Arter. I don't know if I'm going to overheat a bit in this, but I'm going to try it. Okay, cute. I've just paired it with some little satiny pyjama style trousers. I'll be completely honest, I don't love the quality of these. I saw these in store and I thought they looked really cute. I didn't think about the quality at all. So I won't be recommending these, but I have two very similar pairs that I can link down below that I would recommend. So I'm working with Monica Vinader on this part of the video, which is very exciting. And I have some new pieces and some old pieces that I'm going to style up today. In the summer especially, I love layering bracelets. So I'm going to start off with one that you've already seen. It's a very simple, classic gold bangle, very easy to style. As always, I have a discount code for you guys, which gives you 20% off Monica Vinader. So I'll pop the details up on the screen here. Okay, so now for some new pieces. I got another gold bangle. This one is slightly different because it has this like irregular style. It's very beautiful and kind of quite fluid. So I think I'm going to put this one on my left wrist and stack it with some other bits and bobs. Really gorgeous new in piece I've been wearing is this. I love how unique this design is. I think it's so cool. It looks very high-end, very luxury. All of Monica Vinader jewellery is made out of recycled 18 karat gold from May and sterling silver. I actually think this might be one of my new favourite pieces. I also picked up this silver bracelet, and as you guys know, I'm a gold girl, but I really love the way silver looks with gold, and I love the way it looks with a tan, so I thought in the summer it'll be perfect. Here's how it looks up close. Super pretty, and you can also adjust it really easily. Every time I wear this, my boyfriend takes it off me, so I think I'm going to buy him one, because also I think this is quite unisex. Like, it's a really nice piece. Do you see what I mean about the mixed metals, how gorgeous they look together? I'm really enjoying this little stack at the moment. And then we just need some rings. These are two rings that I've worn and shown you guys lots of times before, and then this stunning ring is another new addition. It's kind of like a little 3-in-1 wavy intertwined with gold and again silver to tie in with this gold and silver going on here. So I'm going to put this on this finger. And then we have these tiny cute little earrings here. I'm gonna have to show you a proper close-up, but they, again, they match the ring really nicely, and I just love how delicate and subtle they are. One thing as well that I have to mention about Monica Vinader that I think is just such an amazing customer experience is that they have a 5-year warranty on all of their pieces. So if you need a ring resized, if you accidentally scratch something, or you need something replating, they will do it completely free of charge. Lip gloss, this is the Love Shine by YSL in the shade 150, my go-to at the moment. So now that it's me ready to film, let's go answer some questions. Just given my hair a little bit of a Dyson to refresh it a bit. I'm not really feeling the colour at the moment. It's gone very brunette because it's been about a year since I last coloured my hair. So I think it's getting very much back to its natural colour, and I think I prefer it a little bit lighter, but let me know what you guys think. And also, if I ever tell you I want to get a fringe cut again, please tell me not to do it, because I mean, I'm glad that I did it a few months ago, but I would never do it again. I was just looking at photos and actually I don't think it suits me. Anyway, let me just adjust you a little bit. I've written down all of the questions you've asked me on Instagram, and I've categorized them into kind of different sections. There's a lot to go through, so let's get started. So I thought a nice one to begin with would be, how did you start your Instagram, YouTube journey and following? So this is actually quite a long story, and I'm going to cut a long story short for the sake of time, but if you want me to do a bit more of a deep dive into my journey from start to finish, then let me know and I can definitely do that in another video. But to cut a very long story short, I was living in Australia. This was in my second year of uni, and I was modelling part-time, so I had a bit of a following. I had around 50,000 followers, and I was just using it as more of like a personal Instagram, showing some modelling bits and bobs, but not really taking it seriously. It was then when I went back to the UK in my last year of uni where I sat down and I thought, I actually really enjoy this, and I love creating content. I also love building a community and just creating this online presence. So I just made the decision to take it a bit more seriously and put a lot more time and effort into it, which in hindsight was a lot to do in my last year of uni. It ended up taking away a lot of time from my studies, but that's fine because it all worked out. And I kind of figured the next step for me would be to create a YouTube channel. I wanted people to see my personality a bit more and just see my daily life. And instantly with YouTube, I remember feeling that deeper connection to my audience. If you've been here since I've been at uni, then let me know, because that was about 5-6 years ago now, and it was really inspiring for me and really motivated me to keep on creating content. And then I had a few viral photos on my Instagram. Lots of like big fashion pages were reposting me, and I was getting a lot of followers from that, so it really kind of just snowballed from there. And then from there until kind of last year, it was a very steady increase of followers really. It went from 50,000 to 1 million, and then this last year, like I mentioned earlier, it has just kind of skyrocketed, which is insane. And to be honest, I think that mostly comes down to Reels. Instagram is really pushing Reels at the moment, as is YouTube with Shorts, so I'm getting a lot of reach from that. But if I'm being completely honest, I think, well, whenever somebody asks me about starting Instagram and how they should do it, I would always recommend to start with Reels to get that reach. Of course, you can also do it with posts, but I think it is easier on Reels, just because it's a format that Instagram is really pushing. However, the thing is with Reels is you get a lot of followers quickly, and I personally would much rather build up a community slower, so we know each other, I know who they are. And I know this sounds strange because obviously I don't know who every single follower I have is, but I don't know, it's almost easier to go slow and steady rather than quickly. And in no way am I complaining or anything like that, because I mean, it's amazing, but I would just say it's easier to keep your engagement aligned with your following if it's slower, whereas if you are popping off on Reels, then your Reels will perform really well, and then your posts are kind of staying at the same place. So that's the only thing about growing quickly, which is why I always say it's not about the big numbers, it's about the quality over the quantity. I hope that's come across in the right way. And again, maybe I should do another video kind of talking more about Instagram and YouTube and TikTok as a career, because I've got so much to say about it and I actually really enjoy talking about the subject. But anyway, going back, by the time I'd left uni, it really naturally just became my full-time job. It was never like a formal decision that I made. It was just, it went into that and I never looked back. Do you think you'll do your current job forever? What would your dream job be if it wasn't related to fashion? My dream job since I can remember, since I was a little girl, has been to own or run my own animal sanctuary, farm, rescue centre. I've always been really torn between my more creative kind of fashion, I guess quite glamorous side. Like, I really like nice things and I love that whole industry and world, but then I've got this other side of me that is just obsessed with nature and animals, and they're two very different things. So I did kind of feel like I had to choose, and I obviously went down this route. But what I really love about this dream is that it's still a dream, and I really honestly believe that that's going to be my future. So it's something that I really look forward to and I daydream about all the time, and I just know that chapter will come soon. So if I can have both in my lifetime, then that would be amazing. What is the hardest behind the scenes part of your job? One bit of advice my mum has always drilled into me in regards to my online presence, at least, is never explain, never complain. So I really try not to complain or talk about the negative sides of the job, because I'm also aware of how incredible this job is and I do love it so much, and I'm also aware of how much of a privileged and fortunate position this job can put you in. So complaining just always seems really, not complaining, but I guess talking about the more difficult sides of the job, it just seems a bit unnecessary. But equally, I think it's kind of an interesting question, and it's like any job really. I think no matter how amazing your job is and how much you love it, there's always going to be difficult sides of it. I think the hardest part for me is maybe the pressure that comes with it. A lot of pressure comes from myself, but also I think some pressure also does come from the outside in. It's obviously down to me whether or not I let that pressure get to me, but it's a lot. And I also find there's a lot of kind of scrutiny when you put your life online, and people like to kind of analyze and make assumptions, and I find that a little bit tricky. I developed a really thick skin pretty quickly when I started the job, because you do get these random crazy comments, and I think those kind of crazy people on the internet is actually very easy to just toughen up with and get on with, and I can see comments all the time and they don't affect me or my day. Let me give you an example actually of a recent thing that happened, and this just shows how bonkers the internet is. So I uploaded, I think it was a reel or maybe it was a post, I can't remember, and within an hour I had obviously loads of lovely comments, as I always do. You guys are such beautiful people. But I also had a comment saying something along the lines of, I really hope you open up about your eating disorder, you look far too skinny. And another question within the same hour was, you look like you've gained loads of weight, I much prefer you when you were skinnier. And it just goes to show, actually first of all I just would like to clear up, I'm very grateful that I've always had an extremely good relationship with food, with my body. It's not something that's ever bothered me, and I think that probably comes down to my upbringing. So it's just like water off a duck's back. But the point I'm making with telling you about these two comments is that they are at two opposite ends of the scale, and you cannot please everybody. So that's why little comments like that don't get to me, but it's more the kind of continuous judging and assumptions that over time, even though in the moment they don't bother me, maybe over time I think it does affect my subconscious. I have an amazing team around me, and I actually get them to monitor a lot of things as well. So I get them to like just double check comments and stuff before I read, just in case there is anything there that just isn't nice for me to see. I always think if I'm ever doing something really wrong online, which I mean touch wood I don't, but I know that my close people would tell me, like my mum, my dad, my friends, managers, etc. And I know that you guys would tell me in a really loving way. So I guess I try to protect myself from kind of unnecessary opinions as much as I can in that way. And by no means this is me saying that I can't receive feedback, because actually it's the opposite. I love receiving feedback from you guys. I always welcome constructive criticism. It's the way that I grow, and I find it so useful. And I think you guys have such a good way of telling me these things. I honestly love you all so much for that. So yeah, that was a rather long-winded answer, but I guess from my point of view, I'm always striving to do my very best and just to be a good person and to do good things, whether it's online or offline. Of course, the internet just doesn't always see things that way, and it can be a toxic place. I guess I find that hard. I also find it hard seeing it on other people's posts, like when I go into the comments and I see people being so judgmental, even though it's not towards me, I find that difficult to see. Yeah, these are all things I'm willing to put up with because it is such a dream job career for me. Okay, on to the most asked question by far, which is all around my boyfriend. And I really appreciate, and I also really understand the curiosity here, because I kind of mention him here and there, but then I never actually like talk about him properly, and I haven't like introduced you guys to him, and I share everything with you guys. So understandably you're like, hello, what's going on? If we ever get a boyfriend reveal, how's everything going? Any plans on moving in with your boyfriend? Are you in a relationship? How does he handle your popularity? Big fan of yours. Boyfriend update, will we get to meet him? So I'm going to answer these all in one go. We've been together for 2 and a bit years now. Yeah, 2 and a bit years. And things are going really, really well. I'm very happy with him. He's an amazing person, and it is the most easy, straightforward relationship I've ever been in. And I think we're very different people. Our personalities are extremely different, but that works so nicely together. And the reason I don't really share him online is just because I respect his privacy. He's quite a private person. Like, he has Instagram, he uploads once a year. He's just not in that world at all. So I'd love to like tell you guys all about him, but also it's not really my place to say, I guess. I've always had the same outlook on this. I've always thought I'm going to keep my relationships private and offline, because it's kind of like that one boundary I guess I have, because I do share literally everything. But if I'm ever to take that next step in a relationship, like I kind of feel like I'm going to get engaged or we're moving in together or anything like that, I think that's when I would try and introduce you guys, because your lives are so much more intertwined. It's kind of hard not to. Like, it's very easy not to show him at the moment because we don't live together, and when we spend time together it's usually when I'm not working. So yeah, it's quite natural, I guess. In terms of how he handles my popularity, that's a really funny question. I don't really know. He doesn't really handle it at all. Like, he really humbles me every day. One thing I really like about him is, for example, if I don't know, show something to B or my mum, they are always going to see me in the best light possible, and they love everything I do. Whereas with him, he's like my biggest critic, but in the best way possible, because I know that I'm going to get an honest opinion from him. He just really brings me back to reality, and I really love that about him. I also had lots of questions around my living situation. Do you have plans to move in with your boyfriend? Can you imagine not living with B? So there is a bit of an update here. I can't even talk about not living with B because the thought makes me want to cry. We've lived together for about 5 years now, maybe longer, and she's so much more than my best friend. Like, she is my family now, and we just love living together so much. But I've also recently come to the realization that I think I live in Neverland, and I want to be young forever, and I just don't want to grow up. And actually I'm 27, 28 next year, so maybe I should start thinking about these more serious life decisions and think about growing up a little bit. And our boyfriends, bless them, Bee's been with her boyfriend for 2 years. They've been so patient with us. We've just said to them, give us roughly another year and then we'll move in with the boyfriends. I'm obviously so excited for the next chapter with my boyfriend, but I'm also going to be devastated to close this chapter I've had with B. Do you see yourself moving out of London? Yes and no. I live in London at the moment and I love my apartment, I love my life here, but I'd be lying if I didn't say there's not a day that goes past that I don't think about living a slower and quieter life in the countryside. I just feel like that's my calling. But saying that, I am such an introvert. I think if I lived in the countryside right now, I would turn into complete hermit crab and I would have my animals and I would never leave the house, and I just don't think that's what is good for me right now. I think in my 20s I need to be, oh my camera's gonna die, one moment. Yes, in my 20s I think I need to be in London. I need to be putting myself out my comfort zone all the time, which I do here. I need to be busy. London is also where my work is, and I find London really inspiring, and it has this kind of energy to it that makes me want to do more. So I think, like I was kind of saying earlier, I have the rest of my life to do all of this countryside stuff that I have in mind, and right now I just need to focus on my career. I need to enjoy my London life while I can, because I think once I move to the countryside I'm never going to come back, so I may as well make the most of it. Now, I had a lot of questions about horse riding, which I love so much. Somebody asked, any advice on getting into horse riding as a beginner adult? First of all, that's really exciting, and I really love how many of you guys are telling me that you're trying horse riding for the first time or getting back into it because you're inspired by my stories on my YouTube and my posts and whatever. My advice as a beginner adult would be to find a really nice school, riding school that you're comfortable with, that has nice horses. There's a lot of schools that I just don't love because they have all of these riding school horses, they're overworked, they're sat in the stable all day with their tack sat on, and it's just no life for a horse. So finding a nice stables, finding a good instructor as well. I think it's quite nice when you have the same instructor week on week who can really help you with your progress and know where you are, and you kind of getting the same advice. And to be patient as well, these things take time. Oh, and also not to invest in all of like the fancy gear because that's really expensive. Wait until you've decided if you really enjoy it or not. I think horse riding is one of those things where you have to love it to continue it and to really make progress. So if you don't love it, it's not the end of the world, but don't waste your money on all the expensive stuff. Do you own your own horse? No, so I don't own Apollo, but I do share him, and I am obsessed with him. He features in my vlogs quite a lot, and I would honestly die in a ditch for him. I've only known him 6 months, but he's a fantastic horse with such a lovely character. Sharing him for now is just the best way for me to see if owning a horse is doable whilst living in London and the amount of travel I do and with my busy schedule. For now, sharing him is perfect. He's like my little slice of therapy, but we'll see when it comes to owning a horse in the future or not. Somebody's asked, why do you not do the capsule wardrobe videos anymore? I'm going to be completely honest here. I used to love filming those videos on YouTube, but then I think by like the 4th or 5th time it began to feel a bit repetitive, and then when Reels and TikTok came along, I don't know, I kind of lost motivation a bit, because you can show the same 20 items in a 20-minute video, which will take me a whole day to film and a whole day to edit, or I can show the same thing in a reel, which takes an hour to film and an hour to edit. So I don't know, that really just demotivated me. So then I started moving it over to Instagram and TikTok. And then, I'm just being completely honest with you guys. And then what I would see is people just doing the exact same video. And by no means, I did not invent the capsule wardrobe video. And it's very easy to copy it without even realizing probably. But it was videos with the exact same format, the exact same pieces, like the same caption, everything. And these videos were also blowing up, and I don't know, that just kind of like took the fun out of it for me a little bit. I just felt like, you know, I'm one of so many people doing this exact same video. Yeah, it's just a bit uninspiring for me. I also felt a bit like not that I was being dishonest, but I clearly don't have a capsule wardrobe. I do have a capsule wardrobe in terms of all those pieces I show you guys are things that I wear the most in my wardrobe, but there's also so much outside of that as well. So it felt a little bit fake, even though it wasn't fake. So then recently I changed it to all the basics I'd wear in my wardrobe. But I don't know, I think it's good to evolve your content and keep on changing things, keeping things fresh, things new, and that's what I really decided to focus on this year, and I'm so much happier with my content now. I know so many of you loved those videos, so maybe I can figure out a way of doing it differently, or I don't know. If you have any thoughts on this, then please let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys see, because what you guys see and what I see are two very different things. Career goals and dream brand partnerships. I love this question. I have so many dreams, so many goals, and I'm actually so proud of my work this last year, because so many of these visions have come to life and I've worked so hard to achieve them. All I want with work is to work with brands that I buy and use myself and that are just so naturally organic to my channels. So whenever, and for me that's a lot of high street mixed with high end. That's pretty much how I've dressed since I started Instagram. I love my high street clothes with those like designer accessories and more luxury pieces. So many people told me that you kind of had to choose one or the other. You can't work with both, and I always just really felt like I had to prove people wrong, because I think you can do that. Like, yes, you probably can't work with like super fast fashion brands and luxury brands, that just clashes, but I think you can work with those nice high street stores. It's possible, and it's what I'm doing right now. I'm working with so many of my favorite high street brands like H&M, Abercrombie, Gant, Tommy Hilfiger, and combining it with those luxury stores that I love, like My Teresa, Tory Burch, Jimmy Choo, and so on. So my goal really is just to continue building that portfolio and continue working with these kind of brands. I would also love to attend some more fashion weeks. I don't think I'm ever going to do fashion weeks like how maybe some of the huge creators do them, but I do really enjoy attending them. I've been to some London shows, I've been to Paris shows. New York is on the list. A dream would be to go to New York Fashion Week. Another question is, do you feel like you've changed after your community grew? And B was helping me to choose these questions last night, and she really loved this question, which is interesting because I don't know if I would have chosen this one myself, but I definitely have changed a lot. But that's mostly, I don't know if that's because of my community growing or if it's just me navigating my 20s. I think I started when I was 20. Oh, am I getting all my timings mixed up? I always say that I've been doing this for 5 years, but maybe it's longer. But anyway, I'm so much more confident as a person from where I started. I feel like you guys, even though I don't seek external validation, you guys do give me a lot of confidence. And I think as well, putting everything online, it really gives you like a clear direction of what you want to do, who you are as a person, because you're kind of like a brand in yourself, so you kind of have to know these things. I'm going to finish with this question, which is, where do you get the confidence to pose and post? And I actually have a technique for this, so I'm going to share it. And I think it applies to everybody, whether you're an influencer or not. Sometimes taking photos in public is embarrassing, and the way I do it is, in my mind, I like switch, because I remember when I used to model and I used to do street style, I was never embarrassed because I would turn up for the job and I would do the job. When I was shooting street style for myself, I would get all nervous. So what I would do is I would pretend that I'm shooting for a client. I think almost having a reason to shoot that isn't vanity, not that it's vanity, but you know what I mean, it just helped to like flick that switch in my head. So I don't really get nervous anymore or embarrassed, but if I ever do, I just pretend that I'm doing that. Also, I think you have to remind yourself, like, who's actually judging you here? Is it yourself, or are these random people in the street who you're never going to see again? Are they judging you? Because if they are, does it really matter? If they're being a judgmental person, do you like them anyway? No, probably not. When it comes to posting things, I think sometimes you need to get that confidence from your friends and family. Like, I always show my girlfriends what I'm about to post. I'm like, do you think this is like a good post? Because I think the way we see ourselves is so different to how other people see us. Like, my least favorite photo will always be people's favorite photos. So I also think if you really love what you post, then no one can take that away from you, and you're going to attract more people who also love it. I also think humans think that they are way more important than they actually are. Like, people see these posts and then they scroll and they've forgotten about it 2 minutes later. Like, it's okay. As long as you love it, that's the main thing. Okay, my loves, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully we know each other a little bit better now, and I will see you in my next one. I love you all so much. See you next time. Bye. Mwah.